Okay. All right. Great. We have 3 people. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you are here. We're just going to probably give this another minute or two to let some more attendees get through the sign-in process, but I'm really happy to see you. I'll repeat this request, but it would be awesome if you would just drop into the chat, how creative are you feeling today? From 1 to 5, 5 being incredibly creative and 1 being, not so much. And I'll start. Tracy is my COO. Please meet Tracy. Tracy, would you also please add to the chat how creative are you feeling? I'm feeling like a 4 today. And I feel like, especially when it's sunny, even though it's pretty cold here in Philadelphia, definitely boost my creative spurts, and also when I have lots of constraints I'm dealing with. Hi, Lynn. Thank you so much. Feel like a 2. Hope to shift that by the end of these 30 minutes. Let's see who else we've got coming in today. And also, if you're already here, again, welcome. Would you also drop into the chat, in addition to how creative you're feeling today, 1 being not so much, 5 being really creative, would you also just type into the chat, where in the world are you? So I, for example, am in Philly. Go Birds. The Eagles have made it to the Super Bowl. We are super excited about that. Where in the world are you? Just drop your town. Egypt, amazing. Hi, Abdo. Welcome, welcome. Seal Beach, California. That sounds pretty nice. Welcome. Good to have you. Okay. Let's give it another minute, and then I'm going to share with you what we're going to be doing today. And if you just joined, how creative are you feeling from a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not so much, 5 being really creative, and where in the world are you today? If you would just drop your town, your city. Abdo, where in Egypt are you? What's the name of the city or the town in Egypt where you are? Never been to Egypt, would love to one day. Giza, October City. Wow. Very cool. Thank you for joining. Jules. Hi, Jules. I know Jules. So good that you've joined us in Seattle. Seattle? You used to be in San Francisco. Amazing. We have to catch up. Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, you know what? I am going to be respectful of your time. I'm so appreciative that you've taken some time out today to join me for this um, webinar where we're going to talk about why I proclaim from the top of the mountains that creativity is the engine for innovation. And it's also a preview to a really cool boot camp that we are hosting next Wednesday. More on that by the end of our 30 minutes together. So just a little bit about me. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Nixon. I'm a creativity strategist, which means that I help leaders catalyze creativity's ROI for more inspired business results. I love doing mashups of ideas. I really thrive in multidisciplinary spaces, hybrid thinking. And so I'm really good at helping individuals as well as teams connect the dots between creativity and business value, business impact. I have a background in cultural anthropology. I worked in the fashion industry for a division of the Limited Brands, which took me to live and work abroad in Sri Lanka and Portugal. Traveled a lot throughout Asia. I was making underwear for the Victoria's Secret brand. I then got back to the United States and became a professor. I was a professor for 16 years, and I was the founding director of a strategic design MBA program. I started my company, Figure Eight Thinking, after giving a TEDx Philadelphia talk, and decided about a year later, academia served me well for 16 years, and I was ready to move on. Over the course of my career, I have advised hundreds of companies and dozens of teams on how to bring human-centered innovation to life and how to really apply creativity for greater well-being on an individual basis and organizational basis. So that's a little bit about me. Now I want to get into why you're here and why I've invited you to be here today. So I'm going to share my screen. And so again, why creativity is the key to innovation to help you level up for 2025. So again, welcome. If you haven't already, drop into the chat how creative you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being feeling really creative and 1 like not so much. And then where in the world you are. I'm in Philly. Go Birds, go Eagles. I also want to introduce my COO, Tracy Cyrus, who's also in the room today and helping making sure that I get all the trains running on time. So here's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give you some context first about why creativity is the key to innovation. Then we're going to do a fun activity. You're going to need either a printout of the PDF that Tracy has shared in the chat. She also shared it earlier. You can also just digitally use that same PDF. If you don't want to do that, you can just use a blank piece of paper and a Sharpie or a pencil or a pen. That's cool too. And then we're going to conclude with me outlining for you your very next step. If you were intrigued by what we did today, how do you make this work stick and make it real and actionable on a daily basis in your work and in your life? And then we're going to have a little time for Q&A. So would you please all share in the chat what's keeping you up at night? What is a current challenge? What do you want to do better in 2025? I'll share. I'll start. Something that I want to do better in 2025 is launch more experiments to make my content accessible in the form of micro courses. And if you follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram, if you've signed up for the Ever Wonder newsletter, you're going to be privy to some really sweet deals with my very first micro course, which will be coming out in early Q2, probably around April. But that's a current challenge I'm trying to figure out, and I'm actually really excited about. So what are some of the challenges, personal or professional, that you are working on, that you want to do better? Let's see, what do we have? Oh, great. Who's in Ohio? Okay, Abdo, you want to learn about business and stop overthinking. That's totally valid. Christina, thanks for joining us from Medina, Ohio. Um, a current challenge, understanding how to use AI in your work more effectively. Great. Thanks, Tracy. Jules, you want to start a small business. Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. What's another challenge that you're working on? Mindset is a big challenge that kind of trickles out to all of this. So if that's one of the challenges you're working on, that's also something that building your creative capacity can help with. Becoming more confident in your new role at work. Love that. Great. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing. Keep that in mind. That's going to be really key for the exercise we're going to do in a few minutes. So some of you want to work on a new business launch, shifting your mindset to not overthink, to be more confident. These are all the sorts of challenges and kind of fuzzy, ambiguous crossroads that the work I do and the tools I can equip you with will help you. But let's first unpack what creativity is. So a lot of people think about art and artists when they think about creativity. They might think about a musician or a visual artist and might have a really idealized view of that, someone whiling away the day with sunshine streaming down on them. Perhaps you think of dancers when you think of creativity, people who are trained, talented, and skilled to tell story through movement. Well, I've given a lot of thought about how to explain creativity in a way that democratizes it, that demystifies it, and that does not silo it only in the arts. And this is the definition I've come up with, that creativity is your ability to toggle between wonder and rigor to solve problems, produce novel value, and generate meaning. I wrote all about that in a book called The Creativity Leap. If you're interested in exploring that, there's free chapter downloads on my website, Figure Eight Thinking. You can also listen to it on Audible or on your Kindle. If you begin to think about creativity in this way as toggling between wonder and rigor to solve problems, you very quickly realize that the best accountants, doctors, farmers, lawyers, plumbers, teachers, are super creative, as are artists and designers when we are doing this toggling between wonder and rigor to solve problems. Now, if you're still not convinced, let me share some interesting statistical data points about how much more relevant creativity is becoming in a time and in a world of burnout, ubiquitous technology, right? We have these tech crushes and we're saturated with technology, a bit of overwhelm. The World Economic Forum has predicted that creativity will be the #2 in-demand job skill in 2 more years by 2027. What's really interesting is that in 2023, the World Economic Forum had ranked creativity as the #3 job skill, but they've now upped creativity's game and relevance. Second interesting data point. Market Splash did some research in 2023, and they learned that 90%, almost all business leaders, believe that creativity is essential for market competitiveness. At the same time, according to research by Thrive My Way, 75% of people believe they are not living up to their potential creatively. Maybe you feel that way yourself. Maybe you have felt that way in the past. You're not alone, right? It's my job, it's my passion, it's my mission to help you apply creativity in a way that adds value to your life and to your work. What I want you to get from all these statistics is that soft skills are hardcore. Soft skills like empathy, curiosity, the ability to collaborate, the ability to actively listen, which are all embedded in the creative process. These are skills that will increasingly set you apart and distinguish you in a world where technology, AI, robotics can do so many basic tasks. So I kind of threw out very flippantly to toggle between wonder and rigor to solve problems. What exactly is wonder? Well, the first thing I want you to understand is that wonder is not woo-woo. Wonder is about audacity, deep curiosity. It's about awe. And it's really important to pause if you want to be able to engage in wonder. You've got to design the space around you. You've got to design time in your day to carve out for wonder, because it's really hard to wonder when you're going 80 miles an hour. And interestingly, the more I started researching wonder, I learned that some really smart people have given a lot of credence to wonder. So, for example, Socrates said that wonder is the root of wisdom. Then we have rigor. Rigor may not be something that you initially think of when you think about the creative process and creative acts, but it is essential. So rigor is about focus, discipline, skill mastery. Rigor is not particularly sexy, and rigor is often very solitary work, and it is an essential component to wonder and the creative process. It is the yin to wonder's yang. So Leonardo da Vinci, the original Renaissance man himself, he famously said that any obstacle, for example, those challenges some of you listed in the chat, any obstacle can be destroyed through rigor. So wonder and rigor in an integrative way are what we need to focus on. If we have too much time for our head in the clouds, we really won't make much progress or get much traction. But if we spend too much time in the trenches and the weeds, we will burn out. So, right. So we need both. And Twyla Tharp, an American dancer, famously said that before you can think out of the box, you've got to start with the box. And that is the most beautiful way I've ever heard someone describe what I talk about, this toggling between wonder and rigor to solve problems. So what I want you to take away from all that is that creativity is a productivity play. It is essential for your gains in productivity. Creativity is fundamental for your well-being. It is a competency, meaning it's something the more you exercise, the better you'll get at it. And it is the engine for innovation. Why? Because the way I define an innovation is that an innovation is an invention, just this one-off idea that might be pretty cool, but until it has scalable value, scalable financial value, cultural value, social value, it's not an innovation yet. For it to go from being a one-off invention to a scalable innovation, you need creativity. Creativity is that conversion factor to go from that one-off invention to that scalable innovation. So you need a compass. You don't necessarily need a roadmap because the terrain is always shifting, but you do need a compass to identify your true north. And the way you identify your compass is if you commit to winning with wonder and reimagining with rigor. And I've actually mapped out a boot camp that will help you do just that next Thursday, February the 6th, and more on that at the end. But creativity has an ROI. It has an ROI for your personal life and it has an ROI for your business. And you'll learn more about that on February 6th. But first, back to you. An exercise. This is where you need that piece of paper, a pen, and I first want us to do a mental experiment. So do that mental experiment. I want you to understand that most breakthroughs do not start with answers. Most breakthroughs start with better questions. But when you think about it, how good and practiced are we really at asking questions? Some of you may be, which is excellent. I have a whole suite of tools to help you get better at getting comfortable with asking questions and reframing questions. So we're going to do an exercise today that delves into the ability to ask really great questions. And you see in front of you a very innocent piece of fruit, the apple. And what I'd like you to do, and Tracy, I'm going to ask you to start us off. I want you to write into the chat a why question around apples. And it can be the most absurd or seemingly obvious why question. So I'll start us off. Maybe the why question you have about apples are why are apples red? Like, how come? Why are apples red? Like that's an interesting why question. What are some other why questions? Great, I love this. Why are they round? Why do they grow on trees? Thank you, Akimi. What's another why question about apples? Why? Keep it going. Let's get at least two more in the chat. Why was the apple the fruit in the Garden of Eden? Love that question. What's another good why question about apples? Mm. Hi, Simone. Why do apples have various colors? Why do they turn brown so quickly? Why is it tough from the outside? I love all these questions, Abdu. Why are apples good for you? Love, love, love. Okay, good. Now so that was an example of what we call a divergent question, right? To get us to more expansive thinking. Let's ask an even more divergent question, a what if question. So I'll begin. So I asked, why are apples red? What if apples were purple? Just put it out there, right? Again, it doesn't matter how absurd they are. So you can build on your own question, you can build on someone else's question, but ask it in terms of what if? What if? What's your next what if question? Please add to the chat. What if apples grew from the ground? What if they were what if they were weightless? Nice. What if they were soft? What if they were square? Love that. What's another what if question about apples? What if, let's do one more. Ooh, what if they were bitter? Yes, what if they were salty? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so great job in asking divergent questions. Now we're going to converge. And the way we're going to converge is to ask a how question. How might we, right? So we're going to get kind of tactical. So if I were building on my one question, but we do this all the juicy questions you guys listed, I might ask, how might we grow purple apples? Seems like a crazy question, but we'll discuss why that might not be so crazy in a moment. How might we? You can just say HMW in the chat. You don't have to spell out how might we. It takes a long time. HMW, how might we grow purple apples? What's another how question? How might we produce apples that taste like cotton candy? Huh. How might we soften the peel? Nice. What's another how question to start getting tactical? How can we use a salty apple in cooking? How can we make apples that float? Nice. What's one more how question? One more. How about we make apples produce energy and items? Oh, Tiana, love that question. Okay, so The first thing I'd love you just to add into the chat, how did this process make you feel, like emotionally? Just the ability not to have answers, but just to populate a whole bunch of absurd, silly, interesting questions. How did that make you feel? If you would just write that in the chat. Joyful, good, expansive, inventive, awesome, limitless, nice, right? Calm, love that. So it's important to tap into that feeling because emotions are really essential for our thinking process, right? So that's a big reason why I love starting with the ways that we ask questions. So now let's take that same exercise, but now we're going to just do a portion of it as it relates to the challenge you shared that you want to work on for this year. So if you have this worksheet in front of you, you can just write the challenge, the fuzzy, ambiguous crossroads that you want to explore for 2025, right under the words question storming. Just write it right under there. So you have your focus area. And because of the interest of time, I don't want you to ask a why question, a what if question, and a how question. You know the process now, so you can go back and experiment that, or you can join us at boot camp next week, and we're really going to dig into that further. But just posit one what if question around the challenge that you are facing, that you want to work through for this year. And if you don't mind sharing, that would be lovely. What's your what if question? Your very expansive question around the challenge that you have identified. And if you're like me, there's multiple challenges slash opportunities, but just choose one. Okay, let's see what are we getting here? Yeah, what's your what if question that you could share, please, in the chat? What if we could move to another country while maintaining connections? Good question. What if I could use AI to speed up productivity? Great question. What if I had a business partner versus doing it alone? Love that question. What if all the world spoke one language? Yes. What if we could become a staple for YP organizations across the Midwest? Yes. What if I didn't care about what other people thought and I went full force ahead with these big ideas in my head? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I want you to hold on to that. And I also want you to realize that this is just the beginning of a signature process that I've developed that we're going to be digging into next week at the Wonder Rigger Ideas Lab. If you want to figure out how to go from framing that question, practicing reframing it, and then getting really tactical about next steps to how to make it real, then I invite you to join the Wonder Rigger Ideas Lab Bootcamp next Thursday, February the 6th. It's a 3-hour virtual camp. I will be there interacting live. We'll have a webinar format, so we'll be able to talk to each other really easily, do lots of interesting exercises, be from 12 o'clock Eastern time to 3 o'clock Eastern time. And I believe that this boot camp is essential at this moment in time for two reasons. I'm going on two assumptions. Number one of my assumptions is that disruptive events will continue to bombard us at a really clip pace, either geopolitical events or climatic events. The other assumption that I'm working under is that we will continue to need to absorb technological change that sometimes can feel wondrous and other times feel a little stressful, right? Based on those two assumptions, you need a compass. You need a new way to navigate through that. So if you join the boot camp, there's two outcomes I can promise you. You will leave energized, inspired, and with a new framework and mental model for thinking through your challenges or the challenge that you're going to focus on for next Thursday. And number two, you will leave with a really full toolkit to add on to the other tools that you've acquired through your education, through your on-the-job training, through your life experiences that will complement and amplify the changes that you can make in your life and in your work. So if the following sounds like you, these are some of your symptoms, I have the remedy. So if this sounds like you, your team is struggling to generate fresh ideas for projects. Or how about this one? You feel stuck and in your own way. You can't seem to find inspiration or tangible next steps for that next big idea. Or maybe you don't even know how to make it a really big idea. How about this one? Your team goals are super unclear and you have all these competing priorities. Or maybe you're torn between too many personal priorities and unsure where to focus, right? Number 5, your team would love to have a clear plan to generate fresh actionable ideas for your upcoming project. And maybe this is a way, an MO, a process to help you do that. Or your team is really good at collaborating, but so many untapped ideas. Again, you need to be able to prioritize, right? So this is what you'll gain from next Thursday's boot camp. You'll get a practical toolkit to convert an idea into action. You'll break through stagnation. You'll build your creative confidence. You will shift from being just a copy paster, a mediocre copy paster who kind of bites off of other people's ideas all the time, to being a standout creator, an originator. You will master my Wonder Rigger framework, which is proprietary and will be available to those of you who join next Thursday. You will gain personalized action steps to navigate these next 11 months. You'll join a community that we're building that fosters innovation. You will gain accountability from yours truly and from others in the boot camp. And I'll be there to help co-create with you. So here are the specifics. If you register for the boot camp, next Thursday's boot camp, by this Friday, January 31st, by 8 o'clock Eastern time, again, it's my time zone, I'm in Philly, again, go Birds. I'm offering a gift of a 50% discount. That's $497.50 if you use the code BOOTCAMP50. The normal price for this boot camp is $995. So because you've taken the time to join today, if you decide, which I hope you will, to join us next Thursday, register by this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you can take advantage of this 50% discount. Now I'd like to open this up for questions. You can scan the QR code. I'll leave this up for a few more seconds. And then let's see, what questions do we have in the chat? Let's see. Awesome. Thank you, Tracy, for adding onto the chat. Patty. Okay. Oh, no, that was your great what if question. Thanks, Patty. Any questions? If you don't have a question right now, but a question occurs to you later, feel free to email me. My email address is this last slide. It's Natalie@figure8thinking.com. And I'm happy to respond to any questions that you may have. Okay, we do have a question. Is there a difference in approach for individuals versus a team? So Tiana, do you mean in the boot camp itself? So the way the boot camp is going to be designed is you're going to work in small clusters. You're going to do some individual work, then you're going to do share outs in clusters. If you're thinking about your team registering, which is a great idea, it actually can be really beneficial for people who aren't in your sector, who don't know the daily challenges that you have, to help opine on those challenges, because it will help you to see the challenge in a totally new light, right? So if you work in healthcare and someone who works in agriculture ask a really naive question about an idea that you're putting out there, that can illuminate so much. Simone, sounds amazing. Clarifying, what's an example of how someone has made progress or solved their problem by attending your boot camp? Well, I haven't done this particular boot camp yet, so this is really new, but I've done dozens of leadership facilitation and foresight studios in the past. So for example, a recent executive leadership team I worked with wanted to normalize curiosity on their team, and this was actually a law firm. So you can imagine lawyers have been used to do things by the book. It's their job to observe the law and stick to the law, but they were able to start to move towards a culture shift by being able to normalize curiosity and questions and understanding all the sorts of types of questions they could ask to shift away from being a culture just focused on certainty to a culture that's much more expansive in their thinking that values questions. So that's one example. I've also worked with a food and bev company, really much more on their strategic planning using this wonder rigor process. You're welcome. Okay, we are almost at time. Does anyone else have another question? Let us know. Oh, a suggestion for a book about creativity. Yes. Read Twyla Tharp's The Creative Habit. Read, I guess, hang on. I'm actually going to get this book right here. Yes. Read The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Really great book, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Tracy, if you could add those to the chat. Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Creative Habit by Twyla Tharp. Those are my two of my top picks. Okay. So everyone, thank you so much for joining today. I hope that you had fun. If you want to go further beyond that what if question to really getting some traction, hope to see you next Thursday and follow up with any questions. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.